Hi and welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to do this video simply because it was the best day of my life, and I just love talking about it because even though it was the most painful, it was the best day of my life. So thank you for coming back to my channel. If you're new here, then my name's Zoe. I'm going to be uploading loads of different videos. I'm going to be doing story times, I'm going to be doing beauty videos. Not very good at makeup, just going to put that disclaimer out there, but I try and I like trying with different styles as well. So today's video is going to be I forgot to say it. Please subscribe, please subscribe. I'm mad, and even having 10 subscribers is like, I get so excited. So if you could subscribe, that'd be amazing. So today's video is going to be my labour and delivery story right now. I'm so excited to tell this because it was a bad labour, but I've got my son and he means the actual world to me. So yeah, we'll go back in time to when it all happened, and I'll see if I can think about it in my brain. So yeah, my son was born on the 25th of May. So 2 days before, so that would have been the 24th of May, I'd gone to Manchester because they were doing like a concert, like free entry, just as a tribute to the Manchester attacks, and I think they were trying to raise money and awareness about all that. So we'd gone to that, and it was late in the evening, and I'd gone to the toilet, and I said to my partner, I was like, I've lost my mucus plug. Now if you don't know what a mucus plug is, it's basically like a plug like that, what's in like your cervix, which holds everything in there. Once that is released, then it's a sign that your baby's ready to come, basically. And this worried me a bit because I was only, at that point, I was only 37 and 5 days, 37 weeks and 5 days. So that worried me a little bit because it was a little bit early. But you still classed as full term at 37 weeks. So he said, don't worry about it. It doesn't mean it's going to happen now or instantly or anything like that. I rang my mum and I'm like upset and I'm like, what do I do? And she's like, again, don't worry about it. It happened with me, and it still took 2 weeks before I even went into labour and all that jazz. So I was like, okay. So I went home. The evening was normal and no pains, no nothing like that. No signs of labour at all. There were literally no signs of labour. So I went to bed as usual and woke up at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock is early for me. My partner was at work the next day at 8 o'clock, but I only usually get up when he's getting ready for work, so it was a bit earlier for me. And I don't know what woke me up, and I just lied down. I was like, have I wet myself? Like, my legs genuinely felt wet, like enough to bother me. I was so embarrassed. I genuinely thought I'd wet myself in my sleep. My plan was to get up and like sneak to the toilet and see if I'd wet myself, see if there was a wet patch, in the bed, because I genuinely thought I'd weed myself. And then as I'd stood up, it just went pop, and literally a gush from between my legs. So my waters had broke, and I shouted at my boyfriend. I was like, Dave, and he's like, am I late for work? And I'm like, no, my waters are broke. And he's like, really? And then I was still stood there, and even though your waters are broke, you're still leaking fluid. He's like, are you sure? And I'm stood there and it's still coming out of me. It's still dripping out of me, it's still everywhere, it's minging. And I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. Literally there's a wet patch on the floor. It happened like it happens in the movies, like just went. I got told quite a few times not to expect that because it doesn't usually happen like that, but for me, it did. So it was like, what do we do now? So I rang my mum and I said, I'm gonna have to go to the hospital and just get checked to make sure it is my waters that broke and see what's next. So it got to about, I think it was about 9 o'clock that I got to the hospital, because I live about 40 minutes away from the hospital, so my mum had to come and get me and then take me to the hospital. So when I got there, she was like, yeah, your waters have definitely gone, but she was like, we can't admit you, you're not in labour even though your waters have gone. She said, but it is serious, your body can't go over 24 hours once your waters are broke, because that your baby's infection risk is going up. Basically, it's not good for your baby if you go over 24 hours after your water broke without being induced. So they said to me, bang on 24 hours, so I think it was I was due to go in at 10 p.m. the next day. I was due to go in at 10 a.m. the next day. They said to come in and we'll induce you, we'll give you the drip. I'm not sure what it's called, is it potassium or something like that? And we'll give you that drip and we'll induce you. If you start on your own in the meantime, then come in. So I was like, right. And I was panicking because being induced was not something that I wanted. I was like, I can't do that. I really don't. And Dave's like, it's got to be done. It's got to be done. So my plan was to stay at my mum's because she literally lives 5 minutes from the hospital. So I stayed at my mum's that night so then she could take me to the hospital in the morning with all my stuff to get induced. So I'm staying at my mum's and I'm uncomfortable because when you lose your amniotic fluid, basically all the padding from your stomach is gone. So you've just got this baby like there and you can feel every movement, every kick. Like, it's nothing like before when they're just kicking you. It's painful, really, really painful, and like even moving into a comfortable position is so painful. And I'm still leaking this fluid. It's feeling like I'm wetting myself constantly. I did a lot of walking about. I did as much as I could to get things moving that day because I was like, I just want him out. I just want him out. I want him to be okay. I want him to be infection free. I don't want none of that. So then I went to bed as usual. Dave went to bed at we both went to bed at my mum's. I'm in bed and this water's still coming out. I'm lying there on a puppy pad, feeling dead awkward, feeling pain, feeling uncomfortable. 2 a.m. and I was just walking up and down the stairs. I couldn't get comfortable. I was walking downstairs because my mum was on the couch and I was like having a chat with my mum, and then going back upstairs and I tried to go to sleep again because I wanted to get as much sleep as I could before being induced. So I'm walking up and downstairs, and then about 4 a.m. I started to get pains. So I started to get these pains about 4 a.m. and I just brushed it off. End of the day I was uncomfortable and he was moving about and it wasn't anything extreme at all. It was literally just a twinge, like a small twinge. So I'm still tossing and turning, and then it gets to about 5 o'clock and these little twinges are enough to wake me up, but then I'm dozing back to sleep in between them. And then when it got to 5 o'clock, they started to get more intense to the point where I needed to stand up. I couldn't lie down whilst having these pains. I had to be stood up. And I nudged Dave and it was going on for half 5. I've been timing these contractions. Well, what I found out later on were contractions. I've been timing them for about half an hour, so I'm like, 5:30, I'm like, Dave, it's happening. I'm having contractions. He didn't even panic. I was expecting him to panic, but he was so calm and collected, which was amazing. So I carry on having these contractions. They were about 5 to 6 minutes at first apart. They were getting more and more intense, and I can't describe the pain. The pain almost feels like someone's got their arms and they've wrapped it around your tummy and they're pulling in really, really tight and then releasing. Like, the pain for me came across the front of my tummy, then into my back, and then went backwards and then out. It was so weird. The pain, I'd say, was like a period pain, but a lot worse. This continued, and eventually there was 3 minutes between my contractions. So I ran the maternity unit and I said, look, there's 3 minutes between my contractions. It's 9:30 now. I've been having contractions for 3 hours. I've been in labour for 3 hours and I can't deal with this pain no more. I said I need to come in. I said I need some sort of painkiller. So I went in and she examined me and said I was 4 centimetres when I got there at 9:30. So I was like, well, that's good because at least things are moving along. I had to wait in like a ward at first, like the maternity ward, and then after about half an hour they got me into the delivery room, and I got in the delivery room and then the first thing they did was give me diamorphine in my leg. So yeah, it's around 10 o'clock in the morning, 10:30, I'm in this delivery room. I've just had the diamorphine in my leg, which was amazing. It took the edge right off, so I went to sleep. I was in and out of sleep till about 12 o'clock, and then that's when I started to like vomit because I was in that. I'm not one for dealing with pain very well, so my reaction to pain is vomiting. She said because I was moving around so much, the baby's heartbeat was like dipping, or they couldn't pick it up. So at that point, around 12 o'clock, they put a little monitor like this, what clips onto the baby's head, and it's got a long way what comes out, and that's into the monitor machine. So instead of having the thing strapped around my tummy, it was inside everywhere, right up to the baby's head and clipped on the back of his head. It didn't harm the baby at all. It literally didn't even have a mark on his head when he was born. It's so harmful, but they need to do that to keep track of the baby's heartbeat, because if something was to happen to the baby and they can't pick up on it quick enough, they can't get the help. So yeah, that was about 12:30, and then I'm still going and the pain's getting more intense. So even though I feel dosed up on the diamorphine, I'm still now feeling the pain a lot more. It got to around 2 o'clock and I said, I need the epidural, I need it. And the epidural wasn't scary getting it, it was just hard to get it, because they bring in the doctor and he tells you like, you cannot move, and anyone who's been in labour will tell you how hard it is not to move when you have a contraction. It is so hard, literally so hard. I was dosed out of it. I don't even remember the doctor speaking to me, and I remember being sat there, but I don't remember the doctor speaking to me and asking for my consent. So my mum literally turned around and was like, she wants it, just give it to her. So he gave me the epidural. I started to go home. I was like, yes, this is brilliant. So the contractions are still going, and at this point there's not a lot that goes on. I'm basically sleeping, waking up, feeling a bit of contractions, sleeping for another hour, then waking up, and that's about it till about 6 o'clock. And when it got to about 6 o'clock, I was crying a lot because I was sick of being in labour. I've been in labour for 12 hours, active labour for 12 hours, so I was exhausted. I was in pain. I felt like I couldn't do it. So they came in and they was like, right, we'll check you again now. And they said, you're 7 centimetres, I think they said, yeah, 7 centimetres. And I was like, oh god, I've been doing this for 12 hours and I've only gone up by literally like 3 centimetres. So then I started to get upset again because I was like, I can't deal with this no more. So they said, we're gonna have to induce you because your body's stopped contracting, and that's why you've only got up to here. Your body's stopped contracting and we need to get past that 2 centimetres because of where your baby is. We need to get him out as quick as possible. It's been so long since your water's broke, there's a really high chance that he could have infection. And they turned around to me there and then it was like, so you'll be staying in for 2 days. Now, I hate hospitals, and I'm the worst person in the world that would be told they're going to stay in hospital. So it totally hit the fan. I went off on one, and at this point my boyfriend was outside the hospital smoking, and my mum literally rushed downstairs and was like, well, they've just told her she has to stay in hospital. So he literally was like, I do not want to go back in that room because she is going to flip. She will flip at me. Even though it's not my fault, she will flip at me, and that's what he was saying. I didn't want to stay in. I was just crying. I was shouting. I was like, no, I'm not staying in. So this drip starts to work and starts to induce me. And again, I don't know if it's potassium or whatever it's called. So it starts to work. Contractions get really, really extreme. Really extreme. And I said, I don't think this epidural's working. And I was like, why is that? I can feel everything. And she said, no, it will be working. And then I was like, I can feel it running down my back. She's like, no, it's not. So I sat up and the epidural was not in my back properly and it was running down my back. Now, this wasn't the doctor's fault who put it in. This was probably the midwife's fault for not telling me that I couldn't lie on my back all the time. They didn't tell me to move. I was just lying on my back. They went and got the anaesthetist again because I was in absolute agony. I was like, is there something we can do? Is there some sort of pain relief, anything that we can do, because I'm really in pain? And he was like, oh, we can do the epidural again. And then the midwife stops him and was like, no, there's no point, she's going to be pushing in less than 10 minutes. He was like, oh, well, we can't give her the diamorphine now then. The baby being so close to being born, it's going to get into his system. So yeah, by the time all this commotion was over, it was around 9:15. It was like, we need to check you because if you're no further now, we're going to have to get doctors to come in and help if you haven't got to 9 centimetres because he's going to be really poorly otherwise. They checked me again at 9:15 and said, yes, you're 9 centimetres, we can start to push when you feel the urge to push. She said, you've got less than an hour to get this baby out before we get forceps and basically pull him out. And I really didn't want that at all. They tell me you've got an hour to push him out. So I was like, I've got to do this because I'm not having a doctor pulling him out. So I'm pushing, and the pushing is the worst bit of the whole labour. The whole time that you're pushing is just totally worse. Not worse than the whole 18 hours of active labour that I'd just been in. That was worse. You know, the pushing itself. I'd rather sit through another 18 hours of what I went through than push a baby out again. That is for sure. It literally was like when they said burning ring of fire. That is totally true. Burning ring of fire. I'm pushing and pushing. I don't know how many times that I pushed. It couldn't have been a lot, because if you think about it, your contractions are every 4 minutes and you're pushing for 30 seconds, like, so you're not pushing a lot. But whilst I was pushing, I remember complaining because I wasn't comfortable. I was like, no, I can't do it. I literally turned around and the pain was so bad. I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I said, I will not do it. And the midwife just said, oh, bad luck for this. You ain't got no choice. It's coming. So I'm pushing and I'm trying and I couldn't get comfortable, and then I literally like had hold of like the bed at the side of me. My boyfriend was here and I put my arm around him and I had hold of him, and the more intense the contraction was whilst I was pushing, the more I pulled him in, and eventually he was in a headlock, and he said it was really painful for him because I got him in a headlock, but the pain I was going through, it's only fair. So yeah, my mum finds that funny till this day, the fact I had him in a headlock on every single contraction and then I'd let him go and then straight back to putting him in a headlock. So I'm pushing and I'm pushing, and then at 10:15 he came out. He was like straight out and he had loads of hair, and the first thing they did when he came out was they had to suction him and rub him a bit, because at first he didn't breathe straight away, but that's because he'd took a breath whilst he was still delivering. He was halfway out, so his head was out. He took a breath, and obviously everything that is coming out with him got sucked into all his airways. They give him a good suction. After probably about 15 seconds he was okay, he was fine, thank the Lord. As soon as he came out, they prodded me with a needle because of the infection and everything like that. I think it was a something K, I'm not quite sure. If it is, let me know down below because I'm curious. Picked him up and obviously scooped him to me, and I was just like, I was in shock. I was like, is that my baby? Most stupidest question to ask, but that is the first thing that I said. I was like, is that my baby? And they was like, well, obviously yes. So they passed him to me and he was covered in blood, and I thought, wait a minute, it's meant to be like, oh, wax it. I was like, is this his blood, like worrying, you know, in shock. And he turned around and said, no, it's you that's bleeding. So they had to swing him off me very quickly because, one, he needed medication for infection, so he had to be injected and things like that, but plus I'd tore a lot. I don't think it was a 3rd degree tear, because I'm sure a 3rd degree tear is where you tear inside too, so maybe a 2nd degree tear. So they had to stitch all that up, which was really painful, and I give the doctor some shit for that because they couldn't give me painkillers, or because usually they can inject painkiller and inject local anaesthetic, but because of the area it's in, they can't do that because you just won't have no sensation ever again. Stitch that up, and honestly it was the most painful thing ever, but because I was having all that done, they literally, I could only hold him for 30 seconds. They took him off me, did what they needed to do for him, got his clothes on, weighed him, everything like that, and my partner actually got to give him his first bottle, which was nice to see. He was born at 10:15 at night on the 25th of May, and this year, or 2019, Zoe, 2018, 25th of May 2018, and of course I was 38 weeks, he was 2 weeks early, but that didn't make no difference apart from him being a little bit small. 6 pounds 3 ounces, and his name is Dominic James Hunt, and I am obsessed with him. Literally since the minute that he was born, I couldn't stop looking at him, and it was just so amazing. It was literally like one of the best days of my life. Like, all that pain, I haven't forgot about it. People said to me, you'll forget about the pain, and that's what they were saying to me before I gave birth. But no, I did not forget about the pain. I still know what it felt like. Like, I know in my brain what that felt like. I forgot about it. Like, I could go through all that again for my son. Like, he is just amazing, and now he's 7 months old and he's proper got a personality, and he's just a little angel. He's a little star, honestly. The best thing to ever happen to me. Got to go home the next day because it was late at night. He was infection free, which was brilliant. He was observed for 12 hours and he was fine. He was fine. He was a little warrior. He was fine. And that is basically it for my labour and delivery story. That is it. I'm so sorry, this has been a really long video, but it was a long labour. 18 hours in active labour and then 1 hour's pushing. Summing that down, yeah, that was my labour and delivery story. I'm so happy that I've told it because it honestly was one of the most exciting days of my life, and it was the best day of my life, and it sums up my life totally. So 2018 is my best year of my life because that happened. Obviously I have lots more stories. I have stories from being pregnant, stories, you know, from since giving birth, the little things that he's doing. You want to hear any pregnancy stories, my experience with pregnancy, or my experience with anything in particular, please let me know. Let me know in the comments and I'll do that. I think story times are easiest for me to talk about because it's your story, isn't it? So it's, you know, you don't need a script, you don't need a prompt, anything like that. You can just talk and talk and talk, and I literally can talk for England, so I have plenty of stories. If you want a story time, let me know. It is now 2:45 in the morning. I did this bit of makeup here just for this video, and I'm running on a tangent now and not even talking about anything to do with labour. Thank you for watching this video, and I'm just going to apologise. I know I've done it on every video, but I'm apologising for the quality. Like this video if you enjoyed, subscribe, it would mean so much to me, really would mean so much to me. Like, I don't understand why people want to subscribe to me in the first place, but please, please, please subscribe, it'd just be amazing. Thank you for watching this video, and I shall see you again.